Hello and welcome to Homemaking with Joy. I'm Rachel, and on today's agenda we are making some homemade granola. We got our raw milk pickup today, and so I thought it was a good time to make a batch of granola. I don't like to buy store-bought cereal because of the ingredient list. I would much rather have the power and the freedom to make the kind of cereal that I like to make. So homemade granola it is. I'm using Ruth Ann Zimmerman's recipe. You can find her on Instagram at Ruth Ann Zim, or she does have a YouTube channel that I will tag down below. All of her recipes are wonderful. Everything she shares is wonderful. If you have not checked her out and followed her, please go do that. Without further ado, let's get started. I have all of my ingredients laid out and ready to go. Oats and Rice Krispies will be the cereal part of this. I have coconut oil and honey to mix together, unsweetened cocoa powder, and vanilla. And that's it. The first thing we do is get a 1/4 cup of coconut oil. Every time I grab solid coconut oil out of this jar, I think about summer when it's always melted and warm. I look forward to it being warm outside. Anyway, I usually am very generous with this part, because if I melt too much, then I'll just pour it back in the container. I get my coconut oil from Azure Standard. They're awesome. Let me go microwave this. I'll be right back. I melted a 1/2 cup of coconut oil, so I'm going to put a 1/4 cup back. There we go, 1/4 cup. And now we are going to add a 1/2 cup of honey or real maple syrup. I'm going to put it in this jar because then it'll be easier to mix or remove from the jar. Okay, a 1/4 cup plus a 1/2 cup is 3/4 cup. Done. There we go, liquid ingredients into the mixing bowl. Putting the honey in there with the coconut oil makes it much easier to get everything out. Next, we add in our cocoa powder and our vanilla. So I need 1 tablespoon of vanilla and a 1/4 cup of cocoa powder. Unsweetened cocoa powder. This is chocolate granola because why not? And, a tablespoon of vanilla. Homemade vanilla. Add the cereal components to our mixture. So the recipe calls for 1.5 cups of oats, 1.5, and 1.5 cups of Rice Krispies. 1.5-ish. Okay, the recipe also calls for 1 cup of chopped nuts, but because I have toddlers eating this, I'm going to skip the nuts and I'm going to add 1 more cup of oats instead. Again, I appreciate the freedom to make this the way I want to. After this is fully mixed together, it will bake at 250 degrees for about an hour. Let me mix this up. While I stir this,
You making oatmeal?
I'm making granola. So it's like chocolate cereal that we can put in our milk and on top of our yogurt. I think you'll really like it.
I touch in ball.
Mm-hmm.
Touch inside. I touch inside.
No. Now that everything is thoroughly combined, I'll put it on my baking sheet and pop it into the oven. I like using big bowls, but they're hard to hold on to. We want this thin and flat so it dries out evenly, but I will be turning it in the oven every 15 to 20 minutes. Like I said, it goes in for an hour, but I'll turn it every 15 minutes to make sure it's baking evenly. Hopefully things don't get burnt. Super excited to eat this. To have something chocolatey in the morning? Yes, please. Okay. Oops, spilling it. That'll do for now. Into the oven. Because I'm often multitasking and I can be forgetful about these things, I'm setting my oven timer to 1 hour because that's how long it's in the oven the full time, and my microwave timer to 15 minutes to make sure I come back and stir it at the appropriate intervals. And I don't forget how many times I've set a 15-minute timer to make an hour, because then I forget things. So 2 timers it is. While my granola bakes, I wanted to share a couple of thoughts. When I share what I cook in my kitchen for my family, it's very easy for people on the internet to say, well, that's not the healthiest ingredient, or that's not the best way to do that, or that's not the cleanest option. And most of the time, I know that. I know I could use something different. I know I used some store-bought cereal in this granola recipe, but is it better than Cocoa Krispies from the store? Absolutely. Did I make it with love? Yes. Will my family enjoy it? Yes. Good, better, best is the scale that I try to use in my home. Could I have picked different ingredients? Maybe. Are they more expensive? Yes. Are we on one income? Yes. Am I doing the best that I can for my family at this moment with the resources that I have? Yes. And I think that is the most important thing. If we get too worked up about what we are eating or not eating, or what ingredients we buy or not buy, just the stress of that will make our healthy food less healthy. Our bodies don't respond to stress well. And so if I can say, I'm okay using some Rice Krispies from the store to make this homemade granola to feed my family, I think that is the much better option. So wherever you are, however much money you have, however much time you have, do the best you can with what you have, and that will be the best option for your family. Don't get discouraged by the people who say, all this or all that. I don't even want to put labels on it. Just do what you can, and that'll be great for your family. My granola is done baking. This took closer to an hour and a half than an hour, probably because it was a little bit thicker on the pan. I should have used a bigger pan so it could spread out more and dry more quickly, but it's dry now. I'm going to leave it on the pan to continue drying. Since the pan's warm, it'll finish kind of baking here, and then I will put it in a jar and we will enjoy it for the rest of the week. Ruth Ann also commented that you could add a cup of chocolate chips at this point if you wanted it more chocolatey, but because my kids will probably eat this for breakfast, I don't want too much chocolate in it, so I'm going to leave it just like this. My granola is completely cool now. It's dry and crispy, can you hear it? Ready to be put in storage and enjoyed tomorrow morning.